Hey everyone, welcome back to Easy Speak World with Maya and Ethan, your favorite place where you learn real English through real conversations. Okay, so I need to ask you something, and I'm going to ask Ethan too because I genuinely don't know the answer. When someone asks you, so what do you do for fun? Do you immediately know what to say, or do you kind of freeze? Like your brain just goes completely blank.
Yeah, Maya, that happens to me more than I'd like to admit.
Right? And as always, I've got Ethan here with me, and we're going to talk about something that sounds super simple, but is actually kind of tricky. Hobbies. Talking about what you love to do in English.
Yeah, Maya, and the funny thing is, talking about hobbies sounds like the easiest conversation topic in the world. Someone asks, "What are your hobbies?" You answer, "Done." But in a second language, it's suddenly a whole challenge.
It really is. Because it's not just about the words, it's about sounding natural. Sounding like you actually care about what you're saying, not like you're reading from a textbook. My hobbies are reading, swimming, and cooking. Okay, but that tells me nothing about you.
Exactly. It sounds like a school assignment.
Ha, yes, my hobbies, an essay. No, no, no. Today, we want you to sound like a real person who has passions, interests, weird obsessions, whatever it is. And we're going to give you the language to talk about it in a way that actually connects with people.
And we'll share some really useful phrases later in the episode, so stay with us for that.
Yes, don't go anywhere. But first, Ethan, I want to know, when someone asks you what you do for fun, what do you actually say?
Honestly, I usually say something like, "I've been really into hiking lately," or "I like reading, but not like serious books, more like history stuff, random facts about the world."
Ooh, I love that. I've been really into hiking lately. That phrase, really into something, is so natural. It sounds so much better than just, I like hiking.
Right. "I like hiking" is fine, but "I've been really into hiking lately." It tells people that it's something you're actively doing right now. It has energy.
Phrase, I've been really into something lately. Use this to talk about a current interest or hobby. Example, I've been really into cooking Italian food lately. It sounds natural, modern, and enthusiastic.
If you're finding this useful, and we hope you are, please hit that like button and subscribe to Easy Speak World so you never miss an episode. And here's our question for today's comments. What's one hobby you have that most people don't know about? Tell us below. We genuinely read every single comment.
Okay, so let's get into this properly because I think there are actually a few different situations where you need to talk about hobbies, and each one is a little bit different, right, Ethan?
Yeah, there's casual conversation, like at a party, meeting someone new. There's a job interview, which is a very different energy. And there's online, like when you're writing a bio or chatting with someone you just met.
Right, and the language you use changes depending on the situation. So today, let's focus mostly on natural, casual conversation because that's where most people struggle, right? Like at a job interview, you kind of have a prepared answer, but in real life, when someone just randomly asks you, that's the moment your brain freezes.
Yeah, the random spontaneous question is always harder than the prepared one.
So let's imagine a scenario. You're at a social event, could be a dinner, a party, a work thing. Someone you've just met turns to you and says, so what do you do for fun? How do you start?
I think the most important thing is to not just list things, because it's a wall. I like cooking, reading, and going to the gym. The person is nodding, but they have no way to connect with you.
Yes, exactly. Give them a door to walk through. Share a detail, share a feeling, share something specific.
So instead of "I like cooking," you could say, "I've gotten really into cooking lately. I've been trying to make my grandmother's recipes, but I keep failing."
Oh, now I want to ask you about your grandmother. I want to know what recipe you're failing at. That's the difference. You've given me something to grab onto.
Right, you've made a human connection with just a few extra words.
Tip, when talking about a hobby, add one specific detail. Don't just say what you do, say why or how, or a funny thing that happened. It makes the conversation feel real. Okay, so I want to talk about this idea of sounding passionate because I think this is something that people who are learning English sometimes miss. Like your actual face and voice carry emotion in your first language automatically, but in English, you sometimes have to choose words that carry that emotion. You can't always rely on your tone or expression.
That's such a good point. In English, there are specific phrases that signal excitement or deep interest, and if you don't use them, you might sound flat, even if you're actually very enthusiastic inside.
Yes, so let me teach you some of those phrases. Ethan, can you help me demonstrate?
Of course.
Okay, so the first one is I'm passionate about. Now, this is stronger than I like. I'm passionate about photography. That tells people this is more than just a hobby. It matters to you.
And then there's I'm obsessed with, which sounds strong, but native speakers use it casually all the time. I'm obsessed with this new podcast I found. I'm obsessed with making sourdough bread. It doesn't mean you have a problem, it means you're really, really into it.
I love that one. And then I could spend hours doing this. That's a beautiful phrase because it shows dedication without sounding intense. I could spend hours just sketching in my notebook. It paints a picture.
Or it's kind of my thing. Super casual, super natural. Someone says, "Oh, you're into plants?" And you say, "Yeah, plants are kind of my thing." It means it's your area, your identity, your passion without being dramatic about it.
Passion phrases to remember. I'm passionate about. Strong, heartfelt. I'm obsessed with. Casual, but enthusiastic. I could spend hours doing this. Shows deep enjoyment. It's kind of my thing. Low-key, natural, and confident. Okay, Ethan, I want to do a little role play because I think the best way to really feel these phrases is to hear them in a real conversation. Are you game?
Always. Hit me.
Okay, so imagine we just met at a friend's birthday party. I walk up to you and I say, "Hey, so what do you do for fun?"
Okay, so I've been really into cycling lately. Like I started just to get some exercise, but now I'm kind of obsessed. Last weekend, I did a 30-kilometer ride and I completely forgot to eat lunch.
Oh, wow, that's dedication. Or maybe just bad planning. Ha!
Yeah, probably both. But honestly, I love it. There's something about being outside, moving fast with no phone. It kind of resets my brain.
Okay, pause. Let's look at what Ethan just did there. He didn't just say, I like cycling. He gave us a story. He told us how it started, something funny that happened, and then he explained how he feels. That's the formula, everyone. Story plus feeling equals connection.
Right. And notice the language I used. I've been really into kind of obsessed. It resets my brain. These are all natural spoken English phrases. Nothing too formal, nothing too complicated.
Now, let me show you the less effective version so you can hear the difference. Ethan, same question, bad version this time.
Okay. My hobbies are cycling and reading. I also sometimes watch movies.
And scene. Do you feel it? It's not wrong. It's technically correct English, but it's a closed door. There's nowhere for the conversation to go. Cool, cool. And then you both stand there awkwardly eating chips.
So accurate. The silence after that kind of answer is deafening.
New phrase, the silence was deafening. This means the silence was so complete or so awkward that it was almost overwhelming. Deafening usually means extremely loud, so using it for silence is a fun, ironic expression. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit because one thing that comes up a lot with hobbies is people feel a little embarrassed about their hobbies sometimes. Does that happen to you, Ethan? Like, do you have any hobbies you feel weird admitting?
Honestly, yeah. I used to feel a bit embarrassed saying I like bird watching because people picture this like older person in a field with binoculars and they kind of laugh.
Wait, you're into bird watching?
See? That reaction. That's what I mean.
No, I said that with genuine surprise and delight. I think that's amazing. Bird watching is actually having a huge moment right now.
It is, actually. Younger people are really getting into it. It's relaxing, you're in nature. You develop this whole new way of paying attention to your environment.
Okay, but the point is, Ethan now owns it. He can talk about bird watching with confidence and enthusiasm, and that confidence is contagious. If you own your hobby, other people become curious about it. If you're apologetic about it, they feel awkward for you.
Exactly.
Confidence changes everything. And there's a great little phrase for this. I know it sounds a bit unusual, but I'm really into. It acknowledges that the hobby might be unexpected, but you're not apologizing for it. You're just framing it. Phrase, I know it sounds a bit unusual, but. This is a great way to introduce a quirky or unexpected hobby without being apologetic. It shows self-awareness and confidence at the same time.
And the truth is, unusual hobbies are interesting. They're conversation starters. If you say, I like watching TV, okay. But if you say, I make miniature furniture out of recycled cardboard, now I'm completely fascinated. I have 100 questions. What size? For who? Can I see?
See, your hobby becomes the most interesting thing at the party.
Yes. Own your weirdness. It's your superpower. Okay, so another situation we want to talk about. Asking about other people's hobbies, because a conversation isn't just about you talking, it's about showing genuine interest in the other person. And that skill, asking follow-up questions about hobbies, is something that a lot of people don't practice enough.
Right, because the difference between a good conversationalist and a bad one is often just how well they listen and follow up. You can ask the most basic question in the world, but if you genuinely respond to the answer, you become the most interesting person in the room.
Okay, so let's build your follow-up question toolkit. Ethan, you said you like hiking earlier. Let me show people how to respond to that in a way that keeps the conversation flowing.
Sure.
So, you say, I've been really into hiking lately. I could respond with, oh, nice, cool. Dead end. Or I could say, oh, really? Have you done any particularly long hikes, or is it more like weekend walks?
And now I have two directions to take the answer. I can talk about a specific long hike I did, or I can explain my hiking style. The conversation opens up.
Exactly. So the key to a good follow-up question is give them a choice. Is it more like X or Y? Or ask about a specific detail. What's the best place you've hiked? Have you ever done it in bad weather? Did you start during lockdown like everyone else?
That last one is very real. Like, half the people I know started hiking during the pandemic.
Right? It became this huge thing. Anyway, the point is, specific questions show that you're actually listening, and that makes people feel seen.
Follow-up question starters. Oh, really? What got you into that? Is it more like X or Y? Have you ever... Specific scenario. What's the best thing you've done, seen, made? Do you do it alone or with other people?
Okay, we promised you useful phrases and we are delivering. Let's do a bigger vocabulary and phrase section now, because we want you to walk away from this episode with a whole toolbox. Ready, Ethan?
Ready.
Okay, first category, talking about how you got started, because this is often the most interesting part of a hobby story. How did you find it? What pushed you in that direction?
Right. And a really natural way to introduce this is, I kind of stumbled into it. That's a great phrase. Stumbled into means you found something or got into something unexpectedly, by accident. I kind of stumbled into pottery. I went to a class with a friend and just fell in love with it.
Love that one. Another great phrase for how you started is, it started as a bit of a joke, honestly. Like, I signed up for a half marathon as a dare, and then I actually started training, and now I can't stop running. You get the picture.
The accidental athlete. That's very relatable. And then there's, a friend dragged me along and I ended up loving it. Dragged me along means someone insisted that you come with them even when you didn't really want to. My roommate dragged me to a dance class, and I've been going every week since.
Phrase, someone dragged me along, means someone convinced you, maybe against your will, to join them for something. My sister dragged me to a book club, and now I read more than ever. Okay, next category, talking about why you love it. Because once you've said what your hobby is and how you found it, you want to explain why it matters to you. And this is where a lot of people struggle, because it can feel emotional, and we sometimes don't have the words for emotions in a second language.
Right. So here's some really natural ways to explain why a hobby means something to you. It's a way for me to switch off. That means to stop thinking about work or stress, to decompress. Painting is really a way for me to switch off after a long day.
Phrase, It's a way for me to switch off, means to stop being mentally busy, to relax and let go of stress. Very common in British and Australian English, especially. Beautiful. Another one, it's the one thing that makes me feel fully present. Ooh, that one is deep. Fully present means you're not thinking about the past or the future. You're just completely in the moment. When I'm playing music, it's the one thing that makes me feel fully present.
That's a really powerful thing to say about a hobby. It shows that it's more than just entertainment. It has meaning for you. And meaning is what makes conversations memorable.
And then there's the simpler, more casual version. It just makes me happy, which is honestly sometimes the best answer. Don't overthink it. Why do you love gardening so much? Honestly, it just makes me happy. Sometimes the simple answer is the most human one.
There's something really honest about that. Not every hobby needs a deep philosophical explanation.
Exactly. Sometimes you love baking because cookies are delicious, and that's enough.
Wait. Oh, wow. Like, I used to be really into football, but I kind of fell out of it in my 20s. That's the whole story right there.
Right. And the phrase fell out of it is great. It means you gradually stop doing something. Not dramatically, just naturally, over time. I used to sketch all the time as a teenager, but I kind of fell out of it when university got busy.
And then you have the opposite, picking something back up. I recently got back into it. That's a really lovely phrase. I got back into running after a long break. I'd forgotten how much I missed it.
Yeah, got back into. It means you returned to something after a gap. And there's something very human and relatable about that, right? Most of us have hobbies we abandoned and then returned to.
Totally. Life gets busy. And then one day you pick up a paintbrush again or you dust off your guitar and you think, why did I ever stop?
Dust off, another great natural phrase. It literally means to remove the dust from something you haven't used in a while. But figuratively, it means to return to something after a long time. I dusted off my old sketchbook and started drawing again.
Okay, I want to talk about something a little bit different now, because we've been talking about hobbies in a kind of positive, enthusiastic way. But what about when someone asks you about a hobby and you don't have one, or you feel like your life is just work, sleep, scroll, repeat?
That's so real. I think a lot of people feel that way, like they don't have a hobby in the traditional sense.
And they feel embarrassed to say that. Like, what are your hobbies? I watch a lot of Netflix, and they say it as if they've confessed a crime.
But the truth is, interests don't have to be formal hobbies. Watching documentaries is an interest. Trying new restaurants is a hobby. Going on long walks with no destination, that's a hobby. Following a sports team obsessively, that's a hobby.
Exactly. The definition of hobby is a lot wider than people think. And there's a really useful phrase for this. I'm someone who, followed by something you genuinely do. I'm someone who loves trying new food spots in the city. I'm someone who spends a lot of time just walking around and listening to music. I'm someone who gets weirdly into documentaries.
Oh, I love that framing. I'm someone who. It's personal, it's specific. It connects your identity to your interests without needing to call anything a hobby.
And another great option, if you're someone who feels like you don't have a defined hobby, is to use the phrase, I've been meaning to get into. It shows aspiration. It shows self-awareness. Honestly, I've been meaning to get into yoga for ages. I just haven't made the time. That's honest, it's humble, it's relatable.
Right, and it often leads to a great conversation. Oh, I do yoga. Here's where you should start. Suddenly, someone is helping you. Connection made.
Okay, let's do another mini role play, but this time the full version. Imagine it's a casual dinner with people you've just met. Ethan, you go first this time. You introduce your hobby. I'll respond naturally. And listeners, watch for all the phrases we've talked about today.
Sure. So, I've recently gotten back into photography. I used to do it a lot in uni, but I kind of fell out of it for years. Then last year, a friend dragged me on a trip to Portugal, and I borrowed his camera for the day, and I was completely hooked again.
Oh, Portugal, amazing. Do you do like landscape shots or more like street photography?
Mostly street, actually. I love capturing people in their natural environment, without them really noticing. There's something about a candid moment that you can never plan, you know? You either catch it or you don't.
That's so interesting and actually a little bit brave. Do people ever notice you and react badly?
Yes. Once, this man in a market in Lisbon was absolutely furious. I think I caught him mid-bite into a very large sandwich, and he was not happy about it.
Okay, pause. Let's look at what just happened. Ethan used gotten back into, past hobby returning. I kind of fell out of it, drifting away from something. Dragged me on a trip, someone convincing you to go. And then, completely naturally, a funny story appeared. Because funny stories are part of real conversation. They just happen when you're talking honestly about something you love.
And notice that Maya's questions, do you do landscape or street, gave me a direction. That one question opened up the whole conversation about candid photography and the story in Portugal.
So the follow-up question is the engine of any conversation. Never underestimate it. Okay, let's do another mini role play, but this time the full version. Imagine it's a casual dinner with people you just met. Ethan, you go first this time. You introduce your hobby. I'll respond naturally. And listeners, watch for all the phrases we've talked about today.
Sure. So, I've recently gotten back into photography. I used to do it a lot in uni, but I kind of fell out of it for years. Then last year, a friend dragged me on a trip to Portugal, and I borrowed his camera for the day, and I was completely hooked again.
Oh, Portugal, amazing. Do you do like landscape shots or more like street photography?
Mostly street, actually. I love capturing people in their natural environment, without them really noticing. There's something about a candid moment that you can never plan, you know? You either catch it or you don't.
That's so interesting and actually a little bit brave. Do people ever notice you and react badly?
Yes. Once, this man in a market in Lisbon was absolutely furious. I think I caught him mid-bite into a very large sandwich, and he was not happy about it.
Okay, pause. Let's look at what just happened. Ethan used gotten back into, past hobby returning. I kind of fell out of it, drifting away from something. Dragged me on a trip, someone convincing you to go. And then, completely naturally, a funny story appeared. Because funny stories are part of real conversation. They just happen when you're talking honestly about something you love.
And notice that Maya's questions, do you do landscape or street, gave me a direction. That one question opened up the whole conversation about candid photography and the story in Portugal.
So the follow-up question is the engine of any conversation. Never underestimate it. Let's talk about one more situation before we start wrapping up. And this one is a little more formal. Job interviews. Because sometimes, especially in English-speaking environments, an interviewer will ask, what do you do outside of work? Or what are your hobbies? And people either go way too casual or way too stiff.
Right. The ideal is somewhere in the middle. You want to sound human, but also professional, and you want to connect your hobby to a quality that's relevant to the job without being too obvious about it.
Exactly. So, for example, if you're applying for a creative role and you love writing poetry in your free time, don't just say, I write poetry. Say, I've been writing poetry for a few years now. I think it's sharpened my ability to choose words carefully and say a lot with very little.
See, you've just connected a personal passion to a professional skill. Sharpened my ability. That's great interview language. Sharpen means to make sharper, more precise. You can sharpen a skill.
And another approach, if you're not sure how to make the connection, is just talk about what your hobby has taught you. I've been playing chess competitively for a few years, and honestly, it's taught me to think several steps ahead and stay calm under pressure. Most hobbies teach us something. You just need to think about what that something is.
That's really good advice. Think about your hobby for a second. What has it genuinely taught you? Patience, creativity, teamwork, problem solving? Once you know that, you can talk about it confidently in almost any context.
Okay, big phrase recap time, because we've covered a lot today, and we want to make sure you're leaving with something solid. Ethan, let's run through the key ones.
Sure. I've been really into something lately. Current enthusiasm, natural and modern.
I'm kind of obsessed with something. Strong, casual enthusiasm used all the time by native speakers.
I kind of stumbled into it, found something by accident, great for telling the origin story of a hobby.
A friend dragged me along, and I ended up loving it. The reluctant convert story. Always relatable.
It's kind of my thing.
Low-key ownership of a hobby or area of interest.
I fell out of it for a while, drifting away from something gradually.
I recently got back into it, returning to something after a break.
I dusted it off. Same idea, picking up something old again.
It's a way for me to switch off. How a hobby helps you relax or escape.
I'm someone who, a personal, natural way to describe yourself through your interests.
I've been meaning to get into. Talking about an aspiration, something you want to try.
It sharpened my skill, connecting a hobby to personal or professional growth. Okay, big phrase recap time, because we've covered a lot today, and we want to make sure you're leaving with something solid. Ethan, let's run through the key ones.
Sure, I've been really into something lately. Current enthusiasm, natural and modern.
I'm kind of obsessed with something. Strong, casual enthusiasm used all the time by native speakers.
I kind of stumbled into it, found something by accident, great for telling the origin story of a hobby.
A friend dragged me along and I ended up loving it. The reluctant convert story. Always relatable.
It's kind of my thing, low-key ownership of a hobby or area of interest.
I fell out of it for a while, drifting away from something gradually.
I recently got back into it, returning to something after a break.
I dusted it off. Same idea, picking up something old again.
It's a way for me to switch off. How a hobby helps you relax or escape.
I'm someone who, a personal, natural way to describe yourself through your interests.
I've been meaning to get into. Talking about an aspiration, something you want to try.
It sharpened my skill, connecting a hobby to personal or professional growth. Okay, big phrase recap time, because we've covered a lot today, and we want to make sure you're leaving with something solid. Ethan, let's run through the key ones.
Sure, I've been really into something lately. Current enthusiasm, natural and modern.
I'm kind of obsessed with something. Strong. I'm kind of obsessed with something.
I kind of stumbled into it.
A friend dragged me along and I ended up loving it.
It's kind of my thing.
I fell out of it for a while.
I recently got back into it.
I dusted it off.
It's a way for me to switch off.
I'm someone who...
I've been meaning to get into.
It sharpened my... Okay, before we close out, I want to do something a little different. I want to ask you, our listener, to actually try something right now. If you're watching or listening somewhere private, maybe on your commute, at home, I want you to answer this question out loud in English. Ready?
Ooh, I like this. Go ahead.
The question is, what have you been really into lately? Out loud, 1 or 2 sentences. Use at least one of the phrases we taught you today. And if you're brave enough, write your answer in the comments. Seriously, the comments section is a safe space. We want to hear from you.
And even if you write it imperfectly, that's fine. Progress over perfection, always.
Progress over perfection. That's actually our whole philosophy here at EasySpeakWorld. We don't want you to be perfect. We want you to be real. A real conversation is full of pauses, imperfect sentences, filler words, and that is completely fine. That is human.
The goal is to communicate, to connect, to make someone feel like you are genuinely present in the conversation with them. And today's phrases are tools to help you do that.
Okay, final thoughts. What do you want people to take away from today's episode, Ethan?
Honestly, I want people to stop thinking of their interests as a list to recite. Your interests are a window into who you are. When you talk about them with honesty and a little bit of detail, you let people in. And that's what conversation is for.
I love that. And from my side, I want you to remember that confidence is more important than correctness. You might not use every phrase perfectly today, but if you speak with warmth and genuine feeling, people will connect with you. Language is just the vehicle. The feeling is what gets through.
Well said.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for spending this time with us. If this episode helped you even a tiny bit, please hit like, subscribe, and leave us a comment with your hobby. We seriously want to know, are you into painting, chess, collecting vintage magazines, competitive dog grooming? We are not judging, we are celebrating.
No judgment here, only curiosity.
And we'll be back very soon with another episode. Until then, keep speaking, keep practicing, and remember, every conversation is a chance to get a little bit better. Take care, everyone.
See you next time.